Welcome back to the Khaalik Clan, and I'm actually here with my two sons, Star and Anwar. And today we just wanted to go over some things that have been pretty popular amongst men, especially on social media. I've been noticing a lot, especially your guys' generation, where a lot of guys are looking at the Andrew Tates, and you have some people that are pulling up the Kevin Samuel videos.
The Fresh and Fits.
The Fresh and Fits, and it seems like everybody has this online manufactured version of father figure. It's a manufactured version of what it is to be a
father
man.
Figure is perfect.
It is an online. You're right, 100%. It's an online father figure. So, it seems like everybody is looking for this online father figure now, and people like Andrew Tate and others that are out there. So I wanted to kind of get my son's opinion on this. I have my own, but wanted to hear from them. So have you noticed people in your generation like
Jesus
kind of
Christ? Yeah, I call them Tatetards. It's a bunch of garbage. Most of it.
what's a Tate-tard?
People who follow. I use it as like an umbrella term for people who follow any of those podcasters.
Oh, wait, hold on. I think we have to like separate ideas here because there are some things that they say they make sense.
Yeah,
and then they just
everyone
drag
has
them
some
far
good
into the
ideas
ether and they
sometimes.
sound retarded. And so like what I guess like if you could what do you think is wrong with Andrew Tate? Like what points do you think he makes that sound like complete Tate-tard retard shit?
The guy is just a hater who influences a lot of very negative ideologies. Like, where do I start? I guess I could throw what he said about BJJ. I forgot what he said specifically.
That is true. He said it's stupid and it's not going to work in a fight.
Yes.
Yeah, he's retarded for that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess when I look at it, my thing is it's not only like some of the stuff he says it hits home. And obviously, you can't make up a full foolishness without it having some truth in it. But I think the part that I'm seeing is that I'm noticing a lot of guys who are not necessarily built like that trying to emulate him or trying to act out what he's saying and just are looking really, really stupid. Whether it's, you're running into people, maybe you guys are running into people on campus, but it seems like everybody is like trying to puff out their chest and have this like false sense of manhood now.
Okay, all right. So here's my take on it, right? I think one, it comes from a lot of guys, like you said, not having father figures in their lives or not having respectable father figures in their lives. And so they go online and they see these guys, oh, this guy's strong and he has chicks. That's probably like a good guy. And on a surface level, being strong and being attractive are good things. Those are both good things. But they're not good things, like, it's not the fact that he's strong and the fact that he has the ability to get women that makes him a good guy. It's the things that it took for him to be capable of doing those things that makes him a good guy. And me personally, I hate to be that guy, but if you really want a father figure, you should look in the Bible. I hate to be that guy, but it's 100% facts. You look at David. David was a goddamn warrior. David was out there taking heads. But at the end of the day, he wasn't puffing out his chest. He was extremely humble, and he actually bowed down to Saul when he could have really just took my man's out. He could have killed bro, like on 7 occasions. But he bowed down to him out of respect for him as a friend. And I think that that's what real manhood is. It's being humble but strong at the same time. Because if you're just strong but you're arrogant, to me, you're a pussy. We can say that, right? To me, you're a pussy because you're insecure, and that's why you have to puff out your chest like that. But when you're strong and you don't have to go out your way to show people your strength, that's when you actually get respect as a person because you know your own strength. You don't have to overboast. And that's what Andrew Tate does.
I've never seen anyone actually improve from following these people's teachings. It's like I watch these people lose themselves and be rebirthed in like arrogance, and it's just the worst thing ever. Because I could see somebody, they go from like, it sounds mean, but it's true. They go from like a fat loving nerd, at least you were loving, to being
I don't want to be that either, but
a slim, good-looking loser. You're still a loser at heart. You're not anyone better just because you're more fit now.
That's very true.
The thing with Andrew Tate, with me, him specifically, is I don't know what the fuck he believes sometimes because one moment it's like, yo, girls, 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 and you got to be getting all the, the sex and the pussy you want. The next thing you know, it's like he's telling a woman when she asks him what's his favorite position, he's acting like he's offended by that, and he doesn't want to talk about sex because now he has some type of morals. And then, one minute it's, him talking about Western ideals and culture, and then next thing you know, he's growing a beard, coming out of jail, reading the Quran. So I kind of feel like he plays this PR move on people where it's like whatever he feels, whatever corner he needs to turn to get more followers, he does that. And I think it's easy for him to have money and to be a kickboxer to try to tell men how they should be without really giving them the reality, meaning the good and the bad that comes
Facts.
along with it. Because I don't think that chasing women make you a man. To me, it's the opposite. When you chase a whole bunch of women and you're running up and putting your dick in women, a bunch of females, you're actually weak.
Okay, and so hold up. So this is kind of like, so Andrew Tate, he doesn't make it seem as though he's chasing women. He makes it seem as though he's built himself to some sort of status where the women are chasing him.
Mm.
And so you have these guys that try to imitate that, but they end up just chasing women. And I do think that chasing women is just weakness. I think that that's flat out weakness. You shouldn't be consistently chasing women. And let me back up. I'm not saying that I've never chased a chick before. I've chased a lot of chicks before. But it's not, there's nothing strong about doing it. It's actually very weak to actually go out of your way to waste your day chasing women, right? On the other hand, you can build yourself to be a respectable person that women will like, but it's not just going to be like they like you and they're going to open their legs for you. That's not how this works. I don't think it's how it should work.
I mean, every man has pretty much ran after females because that's natural. It's a natural tendency, but the reason why it makes you weak is because it's natural for you to want women. It's natural for you to see women, beautiful women, watch them walk by and be like, wow, she's beautiful, or she has these attractive features. But then it takes strength, because that's the easy part. It takes strength for you to say, let me turn away, let me look away, let me finish doing what I'm doing. Instead of me being in the gym just dropping my mouth and looking at a female, let me be, if a woman walks by, let me focus on my working out, my routine, because I'm there for something else. Because anything that you chase, you eventually lose anyway. If you focus your mindset as a man on developing yourself, having good character, and I don't know if you guys remember the order of the 4 things that I say to develop. Character first, intelligence, physical, then finances. And that's the way it comes when you're a child. When you're a baby, you don't really have intelligence to read or write. You can't walk, so you don't have any type of physical strength. You don't have any finances, but you do know when you go crawl and go to touch the fire or the stove and the parent slaps your hand and says no, you know that there's a right and wrong. Then as you get older, you start gaining intelligence, learning to read and write. Then you start gaining, your motor skills, being able to move around and be physical. Then you can understand finances. So a man should, obviously be backed by some form of spirituality, but should develop character, intelligence, his physical body, and then his finances. And he should be looking to develop those with putting value in them in that order, as opposed to saying, well, let me run behind females, or, let me chase females, or if I kickbox, that makes me a strong guy and everybody else weak, and I'm just going to talk very arrogant towards
Are you
somebody.
coming for me or Andrew Tate right now? But now what you said is peace, and that's why I think the good thing about those like red pillars is the fact that they're telling dudes, stop chasing women, focus on yourself. That's good. That's good, because coming up as an 18-year-old guy, you do need to develop yourself. And it's not because you need to have status so you can get chicks. It's so that you can have strength mentally, physically, spiritually, so that when you do actually find a woman, you can actually provide for them and defend them and do what's necessary to actually start a family. And that's where I think they kind of fall off. They start with the whole, you need to stop chasing women and develop yourself. And then they go into, so you can get hella chicks, you know what I'm saying? But really they should be saying, so you can develop yourself so that you're strong enough to actually start a family and protect and provide for them.
I mean, personally, I think we should shun OFPs.
Oh, what, OnlyFans?
OFPs, only fan pretty. If she's only fan pretty, don't follow.
Did you just make that up right now?
I did.
I just made.
But
But
why did
you
you
said it
start
out
with
like it
the-
was something we should
Because
know.
I spoke to you about this. I thought you remembered.
Was I
You
drunk?
remember some of our conversation, but
Only fan pretty.
Yeah,
and that's
only-
true. I
What are
think.
we talking about?
so only fan pretty would be, so when I was growing up, you would have 10 girls, like you would go into a school or an event, it would be 10 girls, right?
Right.
And it'd be 1 or 2 who are very, very fine. And the rest were average to below average, right? Nowadays, it's the opposite. Nowadays, you got men chasing women, not realizing that when you walk outside the house, a beautiful woman who's OnlyFans pretty is a dime a dozen. And by OnlyFans pretty, what I mean is that when she walks out the house, she's looking for sexual attention. She dresses for sexual attention. Her social media is based on sexual attention. When she goes to the gym, she's not working out just because she wants to be healthy and fit, but it's all for sexual attention. Yeah. And if men start learning to shun the OFPs, the OnlyFans pretty girls, and start worrying about women who have character, who have intelligence, who's worried about their health and who's worried about their finances, as opposed to going after women who have nothing to offer but sexuality, then they'll have less of a headache. And they won't, and they can actually not just only grow and develop on their own, but they can develop and grow with that female as well. So I think that most men make a mistake like the passport bros. A lot of them say that they're going out of the country because women are hard to deal with. Women are, it's the attitude they can't put up with, the gold digging. But when they go out of the country, they're literally pulling up on model chicks out of the country, whether it's in South America, Thailand, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic.
Really, it's prostitutes. That's what I know. A guy, he went to Colombia, and he was posted up all these chicks. When I tell you, this guy had no charisma. He was a little fat. He was bald. He just had no swag, and he seemed like a try-hard Andrew Tate kind of guy. And then he goes to Colombia, and he's posted up with a bad chick every day. And so, we ended up finding out that he was dealing with a lot of prostitutes. My thing personally, passport bros is stupid as fuck because and this is for me personally, right? I was raised in America. I like American culture. I like American women. I'm not saying that I want to deal with a girl from a different country or something like that, but I understand American culture. And if I want to listen to some fucking Lil Baby with my girl or some fucking Kane Brown, we should be able to do that and not have a language barrier. That's me personally.
Yeah, so OnlyFans pretty also, one of the things that, and I don't mean to harp on this again, but one of the things that, I realize with a lot of men is men don't realize the tables have turned. So back in the days, you had, like I said, one or two pretty girls and the rest were average. Now pretty girls are everywhere. You can walk outside and you can see women literally vying for attention. So the hard thing to come by, or the hard thing to find is usually that which is most valuable. Diamonds are valuable because it's hard to come by them. They're rare. Something like, steel or iron or brass is not really rare or hard to come by, so it has no value. So the woman that you should be placing value in nowadays as a man who has something to offer, because you should deem yourself as valuable, should be the females that actually are loyal, women that are not trying to garner sexual attention, women that have something to offer like compassion, nurturing, feminine qualities. Because if you look at most of these women, they may look feminine on the outside, but they're not necessarily feminine internally. It's just like you'll hear women back in the days be like, oh, you ain't a man, and they say this to belittle men, but you'll never hear a man turn back and point to that woman and say, you're not a female, you're not feminine. Whereas most of the women that you see nowadays on these IG models, on the OnlyFans pages, they may look feminine outside, but internally they're not, because they're not compassionate, they're not nurturing, they're not agreeable, so I think that men need to start redirecting their mind to, understand that when you go outside, it's easy to find a pretty chick. It's easy to find a woman that's very, very sexually attractive. What's hard to find is a woman that's loyal. And then that's what you should be working hard and putting your attention toward right now.
Facts. I agree. And so can we, draw back to, the whole Andrew Tate crap? Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think being a man is?
You start with me?
Yeah.
Man, I just got here. I'm 19. Let me tell you what to think.
Go ahead.
You got it.
Being a man is, for one, is somebody who's built for struggle, naturally. Every human struggles, whether male or female, but men are built for struggle. Men are built to struggle without complaining. Men are not victims. Men are people who have earned their value in the world. Women are born with value. A woman, when she comes out of her mother's womb, automatically has value.
What if she's ugly as shit?
It doesn't matter. I just had this conversation with your sister.
I mean, she's a midget and her face
doesn't
looks
matter.
like fucking
you know why?
a ghoul from
you know
Fallout.
You know why it doesn't matter? Because there's some man that can't get a pretty woman that's looking for something to stick his dick in. So she's valuable just because of what she has between her legs. Whether they consciously want to admit it or not, they're born with value. But a man, when he comes out, the first thing a man realizes, when I get around other men, I got to be able to protect myself. I can't let people run over me. You learn that at a young age as a man. So you learn your value by saying, you don't say these words, but instinctively you know that you got to learn how to be a protector, first of yourself. Then as you get older, you realize that women, they may think you handsome and cute when you're in high school, but as they get older, they start wanting money. So now in order for you to be valuable, you have to have a career. You have to have some sort of finances. So now you have to be a provider. At the same time, no woman wants a dumb man. A woman wants to know that her man can walk into an environment and hold a conversation with anyone at any time, regardless of the knowledge he may have or may not have at that particular moment or about a particular subject. He at least has some degree of intelligence. So a man must be a professor, meaning that he is able to profess wisdom. He's able to profess some type of knowledge to her. And then at the same time, a man is somebody who can look at something and say, I can delegate responsibilities here. I can put you in a position over here. He has to be somebody that can position. So a man has to be a provider, a protector, a professor, and someone who positions. And that's what I see a man as being. And the only way that you get to be that is by giving in to struggle. One of the biggest things it takes to becoming a man is literally living with being uncomfortable. If you can be uncomfortable as a man, then you will grow and you will develop yourself.
Thanks.
Women need to be comfortable. That's the difference between us and them. You'll hear a lot of men complain because they say women are not accountable. She always blamed me for everything. Yeah, because back in our primitive days, before everything was as nice as it is now, men took care of women. Men provided women with their shelter. If there were any predators in the primitive days, men had to fight off the predators. But guess what? If the predator entered that shelter and decided to, ravage the woman, kill the kids, and take the food, it wasn't the woman's fault, it was the man's fault. So women naturally have it in their DNA as we started evolving to naturally blame men, to look at a man as being the reason for everything that goes bad. No matter how they actually contributed to things going bad, ultimately it's you.
So do you think they're wrong or right for doing that?
Oh, they're 100% right. You know why? Because if you ever take the blame off of yourself, you're losing a part of your manhood. If a man takes blame off of himself, he's stopped. It's just like I used to tell your brother all the time, you can't ever have an excuse. I don't care what the issue is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Jocko Willing had made a conversation, had made a example one time that he said, when I would go out into a mission, and one time we were out on a mission and we were in a helicopter and it started raining and storming, we had to, lower the helicopter. We couldn't complete the mission. He said, I didn't blame the storm. I didn't blame the rain. What I blamed was myself for not being prepared for that type of situation to happen. Because what happens is when you take the blame off yourself, you don't come up with a way to handle or resolve that when it comes around the next time. So when it comes around the next time, you're just going to crawl back in your hole and be like, oh my God, I'm defeated. As opposed to when you run into an obstacle and the obstacle defeats you, you take blame for it, no matter if it was the woman's quote unquote fault, no matter what she contributed to it, no matter what your friends contribute to it. If you put all the blame on yourself, you regain your power, for one. You don't give your power to somebody else. And two, you're going to come up with a solution how to resolve that the next time it happens, which means you become wiser and stronger for the next time it happens. So a man should never give that. And that's one of the key things to being a man, is never, ever blaming anyone else. And I'm not saying you can't point out things or variables that happened, but it's how you relate them to you and how it stopped you. You can point out, it's just like when people sit there and say, well, white people have held black people back. We can point to slavery and look at history and say these are variables that we had to overcome.
Right.
But we can't use that as a justification for why we're not doing what we do today. Well, how do you see being
so
a man?
it's not our fault, but it's our responsibility.
That's a good way to put it. Absolutely. Absolutely. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility. It's a great way to put it.
Well, go ahead, Anwar. What's a man?
You said everything, man. Your ability to lock in, essentially, for me, I guess, how well you can handle whatever comes your way.
So, like 2 years ago, I feel like I've thought about this topic a lot because, I'm like in the process of becoming like a man or whatever. I guess I kind of am here. But,
when you do jiu-jitsu, you'll be a real man, but go ahead.
Laying on the ground, hugging a bunch of sweaty men, yeah, that's real man. But
that's what you're feeling strength, though.
All right.
You know what the saying is, right?
Skinny old white guys.
If one man can hold you down, two can rape you.
I wish we could have had Chris's face just now. Okay. So yeah, I was thinking about it a lot, and I took from a lot of the mentors that I had. Obviously, my dad, and then other people I came across in like the army and doing martial arts and at these various jobs I work. And I kind of boiled down 7 qualities that I saw each of them had. And the first one is discipline, which is basically just, well, first you have to have a goal, and then you have to do things daily, and I mean like genuinely daily, to actually accomplish that goal. So discipline's up there. And then the second is self-respect. What I mean by this is it's not pride, because pride's different. Pride is a sin. Pride is bad because it takes you looking down on others in order to feel good for yourself, and that's kind of where the Andrew Tates kind of mess up. Self-respect is me saying, I'm not going to let somebody walk over me, and that's the difference there. You don't have to look down on somebody in order to tell them they're not going to step on you. The next one is wisdom, which unfortunately tends to come with time. It's not something that you can just get coming out the womb, although I can learn from other people's experiences, although my knucklehead ass tends to ignore them a lot. So discipline, self-respect, wisdom, and then serenity. I think that having a sense of peace and a way to get away from all the bullshit is really important, because, like he said, as men, we're often thrown in very uncomfortable circumstances. And if you aren't able to stay calm, well, you're going to fuck up and you're probably going to act like a woman. The next one is competence, and you touched on this one as well. Being able to walk in somewhere and have a conversation with anybody, or just being socially aware. I hate it. I really fucking hate it when I see guys. I ride the train all the time, and I see guys on the train with both of their headphones in, and their phone, like, they're just staring completely at their phone. It's not a fucking man. That's a coward. Maybe not a coward, but certainly not a man, because it's impossible for you to actually take care of anybody, including yourself, if you're not aware of what's going on. And that's not just being socially aware of where you're actually at. It's also social awareness of, like...
situational awareness.
Yeah, situational awareness, but also, like, being aware of your position in the hierarchy of life. And that sounds, like, ridiculous, but knowing where you stand so that you can know how you can better yourself and know the things that you have to do in order for you to better yourself, and that also goes back to discipline. And then the last one is compassion. And I don't think compassion is me saying that I feel bad for, like, those kids overseas in Africa. I'm not saying I don't, but that's not compassion. Me giving my entirety to something else, like I guess a father would to his children or to his wife, I think that that's genuine compassion. And that's where I think progressives slip up, because they have sympathy, but they have no compassion.
Speaking of situational awareness, I took your mother out for Valentine's yesterday. Well, I took her out Thursday night for eating. Got her Gucci Flora for Valentine's Day. Took her out to a restaurant, ate there. And one of the things is every time we go to eat and there's a chair and a booth, the booth is comfortable where women always sit, right? But the chair is always with my back to the door. And y'all already know how I feel about that when we go sit in a restaurant. So we hung out that night, and then yesterday morning we went to brunch, and we went to sit down, and again, the booth was, the nice soft booth, and the chair where my back would be to the door, and there was 2 guys sitting next to us, and they both were at the chairs with their back facing the door. So I looked at your mother and was like, she was like, I know you want to sit on the booth so you could face the door, and I'm like, yes, please. And she's like, but look at all the other men, and these guys were probably this close to us. It was a guy right here and a guy right here. And I looked and I was like, but they're both beta. I like, literally, look at them. That's the reason why their backer is against the door. Because if somebody came in here and they were doing whatever they were trying to do, my mind and my focus would have to be on protecting you, which means that I'll be ultimately sacrificing myself for every single person in this restaurant, because I'll be the first one to go at the guy. And no other guy, this guy is not going to jump up because his back is facing. Guy is not going to jump up. And I'd rather be in a position where I can protect you, rather than you have to always be comfortable or sitting where society deems a woman should sit. So I think that situational awareness is something that men have more so, and there are women that are very, very situationally aware, like Sadaigu, Sijo's wife. But I think that it's something that a man should naturally have, that when you move in public, you should not only be aware of your surroundings, but you should be able to read another man as well. That's just something you should be able to naturally be able to do. But going back, I want to say, so what are some of the other social media guys that
Wait, hold up. Can we go back to what you just said about Sadaigu? Mm-hmm. So I guess, like, what's really important to point out is we're not, like, saying that women can't have these qualities. We're saying that men need to have these qualities. So a woman can have these qualities. I don't think it's necessary. A male could not have these qualities, but he's not a man. And that's how I see it. But
that's
other social media guys, I would say Fresh and Fit is pretty, I think they're still pretty big. And they basically Their show's kind of fucked up. They just get a bunch of like, really like no disrespect, but they get a bunch of urban like really slow girls, and they get on there and they just roast the fuck out of them. And it's kind of funny sometimes, but you're not getting like, he's not giving guys a real expectations. He's giving them very like.
So, and so me and PJ had this conversation before Saba came in the car. We shut up when she got in the car, but we had this conversation that these chicks that are like the chicks that's on Fresh and Fit, the chicks that I deem OFP, OnlyFan pretty, what they don't realize is their value decreases as they get older. But as a man, your value increases as you get older. So a woman is like a car. You know, she drive off the lot and her value is like going down. The more she's running, the more she's being driven on that road, her value is going down. You, on the other hand, are like wine. You go out, you get older, and women know this inherently because when you're young and you're in high school, boys tend to have more feminine features when they're younger until they start getting bigger, stronger, growing the facial hair. And women always are attracted to the people that look more masculine when you're in high school. They're like, you know, looking at the masculine guys as they're starting to get older.
Yeah, I was a pretty boy in high school, and I think I did fairly well.
Well, you barely have facial hair now, so I mean, you're
All
still
right.
in that feminine stage.
All right, for sure. Just dog me.
But I think, and I'm not trying to say this just because women are like cars, but a good woman, like Felicia Rashad or Angela Bassett, they're like a classic car.
I have no idea who those people
These
are.
are these. So Felicia Rashad was on the Cosby Show. She's like in her 70s, and Angela Bassett is a little older. These are classic cars. They actually become more valuable as they get older because they're a classic, like a classic BMW or a classic Rolls Royce. See, now the Rolls Royces you see nowadays, they come right off of a line.
What's the difference? So why?
Well, that's what I was about to say. So, a Rolls Royce back in the days was handmade. Each car was handmade, so it was a classic car, and those classic cars were built to last. The frame is a lot stronger. You look at the cars nowadays, like the old school Mercedes. The frame was a lot more durable. Nowadays, the outside of the car, the frame is horrible because they built everything for, you know, the bells and whistles, the the computer dashboard, the GPS, rather than it being built to be durable and last long. So the way I compare that to a female would be the classic cars, as far as a female is concerned, are the traditional women. Women that are feminine. Women that can, you know, are built to last. Women that can watch their men go through obstacles and say, I'm still going to stay there with you, as opposed to the OFPs who say, well, I'm pretty, I could easily find another guy. So as soon as they go through a struggle with you, they're willing to bounce on you. They want to go off because their mindset is like, oh, you should be happy to be with me because you know what this guy would do for me, this guy would take me here, this guy would do this for me, rather than, you know, saying, well, okay, my man is going through a struggle, I'm going to stick it in with him. So the classic cars or the classic females are the old school traditional females that was really before my generation even. These were the women who said, you know what, this is my position in this relationship, this is your position in this relationship, I'm going to maintain this position, you maintain that position, and I'm going to be loyal. I'm not going to go out there showing my ass for every single Tom, Dick, and Harry in order to feel like I need, you know, validation, in order to feel like I've been validated. The average woman nowadays, especially in your generation, I bet you most of them don't leave the house without looking in the mirror at their ass, because they want to know that they still can compete with every other woman out here and it's going to get some form of sexual attention. Whereas the Felicia Rashads, the Angela Bassett's, go look them up, these are more distinguished black women. These women are 70 years old, 60 years old, and beautiful, and could probably bag any young dude nowadays, because when they come off, they don't come off looking like a piece of meat, but you see their beauty glowing and you can see their intelligence without them speaking. So that's how a classic car is. These chicks nowadays are like the modern day Lamborghinis. You know, you roll over a pothole, any type of obstacle, the whole car gets broken down instantly. You know what I mean? What about your generation? Are men in your generation chasing women?
Yeah.
How?
Mostly, a lot of times, they'll change themselves heavy, like to degrees where they're unrecognizable to who they were, but a worse person, like we were talking about earlier. Or they'll, you know, it's just they just won't be themselves. That's pretty much it. It sucks to see that happen to people.
And so, hold up, now we have to back up. So, I believe that it goes God, man, woman, right? And so when you see women acting like shit, it's usually because we have a bunch of weak men acting like shit. And that's what I think it all boils down to.
Facts.
Men need to be strong and stop being
Facts.
cowards. And
Facts. Because ultimately, I think the biggest thing that we could kind of take from all of this is the Andrew Tates, the Fresh and Fits. They're pointing out really good. They're making good points. But I think where they're failing at is understanding that it's not really the female's fault. Because even when I go back to sexual attention, women are only looking for sexual attention because men have taught them that. Men have told them that's what I want. This is what makes you
and
important.
it usually
this is what makes
starts
you valuable.
really fucking early. Like
Yeah.
when they're like high school, grown ass men. Yeah, really early.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but it's the world or whatever.
I mean, you're 100% right. It's at the end of the day, it is man's fault. And if men understand this, instead of pointing fingers at the women, instead of shunning the women, what they can do is say, let me be more of a man. It's like a relationship. When you guys get older, you're going to have relationships, you're going to be married, and you're going to get into arguments. And there's going to be a time where most times you're going to be wrong. And during the times that you are right with your wife, you're going to try to convey why you're right, and it's not going to be heard or understood.
Because is it
you're
most
talking.
times you're wrong because you're actually wrong, or is it because you're just not going to win?
It's the second one, because you're not going to win. Okay. But there are times where when I say you're right, it means that you're right on something very important that needs to be said. And you can sit there and tell your counterpart all the things she's wrong about, and she'll never hear it. And that frustrates a lot of men. And they say women don't want to take any accountability. But you shouldn't be pointing out or telling her what she's doing wrong. Rather, you should be displaying the behavior that you want her to have. And she won't see it right away. So if you tell your woman that you don't listen to me, you're not, whatever you're saying, then you need to listen more to her. You need to be that more. And it may take you 2, 3, 4 years, but that's what being a man is that a man, we can have all of these words about men, but ultimately what a man is at the end of the day is an example, not just to his family, but wherever he goes. Like when you walk into a room, men should know that you're different. And you don't have to, like your generation, when they look at Andrew Tate, force it out of yourself, because it comes internally. Because it's the way you actually think about yourself. Not
Yeah, so
how you, wait, well, this is the last point.
Go ahead.
The biggest problem with the people that you guys are like talking about is that they don't internally think highly of themselves. Rather, they want to skip the part where they have their own confidence and they want other people to think highly of them.
How do you get your own confidence?
By struggling.
And that's the issue. Most of them want to fucking lay in their beds and like watch porn and
Facts.
video games and shit like that. And so I think that's where it really comes from. If you go outside and you work out and you do martial arts, you'll be fine.
And last key, you just said it. To me, the ultimate way to develop yourself as a man is martial arts. The ultimate.
I thought you were going to say touch grass, sorry.
The ultimate way is martial arts. 100%. That's why we are a martial art family. Not because we need to go out there and fight the world. Maybe I thought that in the beginning. But as I grew in martial arts, I realized that it helped me develop my character. Because what martial arts teach you is to struggle and to get better at what you're struggling at without giving up. And the more that you struggle, when you overcome an obstacle, that's how you gain confidence. You don't gain confidence from what other people tell you, or if somebody tells you you're smart, or somebody tells you can fight, or somebody tells you you're good at something. To me, that actually hinders you. Because it's like when I used to tell y'all you would go up there and throw your punches, and you look good, and I would sit there and be like, yeah, but you need to do this, or you need to do that. And you'll be thinking like, well, damn, I'm doing all this good already. And I'm like, yeah, but guess what? If I just told you were good at what you're doing that's good, you would never grow in the places that you're weak. And if I tell you and show you where you're weak at, then guess what? Tomorrow you're going to be even better than what you are today. So to me, martial arts is one of the keys to being a man, because you have to be disciplined. You have to do it when you don't like doing it. Because I don't know anybody. I mean, even to this day, I met people that say they love getting on the mat. They love training. And I love training and getting on the mat. But I still got to push myself every day to do it. I still got to be like, let me get out there and do it. Like, I'm tired. I'd rather watch Netflix. I'd rather, hang out with my wife and chill with her rather than get under the weight or get on the mat and, have somebody like Cjo yelling at me all the time. Like, so martial arts is, to me, the number one channel for developing your manhood and your masculinity, because it not only teaches you discipline, how to develop yourself, but it also teaches you how to be accountable. Because if you drop your hand, you get punched.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I hope you guys was able to, understand our family and where we're coming from a lot more. This is the Khaalik Clan. We love letting you guys into our home and love letting you guys see how we think and see basically, where we stand on certain issues and stuff. Do you guys have anything you want to say, lastly?
Don't be a woman, touch grass.
Okay. I'm good.
I mean, literally, don't be a woman. You can't because you're a guy, so don't be a woman.
I thought he was going to say literally touch grass. So I'm trying to figure out that part. I don't know if that's a
Go
boy
outside.
type thing.
No, that's
Go outside. That means go outside.
You're old, dog.
I am old.
Touch grass, it's like, well,
Go outside?
Yeah.
So why just not say go outside?
Or
Because
you're just
it's
pushing
I'm
it on.
throwing the meme
Yeah.
in there. Just fucking.
Why not
hold
say
still
see the
up.
sun?
All right, see the sun, guys. Fucking.
The Khaalik family to your family, man.